الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي الحبيب العالي القدر العظيم الجاه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum, my dear brothers and sisters. Today is the final chapter we are going to begin, but before, inshallah, we are going to resume our last chapter, chapter 7, the miracles of the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is narrated once water spouted from his blessed finger and host of men drank from it and made ablutions. There were 1,400 men in all. Also once Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a glass of water was brought to the Rasulullah. He put his 4 fingers in it and said, "Come." And all present made ablutions, and they were 70 or 80 in number. During the battle of Tabuk, the companions passed by water which would not quench the thirst of even a single person, and people were intensely thirsty. They complained to him of this, so Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam took an arrow from his quiver and planted it. Water gushed out, and a multitude used the water, and there were 30,000 men. Alhamdulillah, Allahumma salli wa sallim ala nabi. A group of people complained to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam about the salinity of water in their well. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to one of his companions, stood at the well, and spat in it. The water of the well turned sweet and soft. Another narration, a woman came to him with her bald child, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam stroked the boy's head. His hair grew and the disease disappeared. The news of this miracle reached the people of Yamama. A woman took her child to Musaylama, and he touched the head of the child. The child became bald, and baldness remained in his offspring. The sword of Ukasha was broken in the battle of Badr. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave him a lath, which became a sword in Ukasha's hand, and it remained with him forever. In the battle of Trench, when the trenches were being dug, a rock posed great difficulty, and the rock was unmoved by the hoes and the pickaxes. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam hit it once, and it was pulverized. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam touched the broken leg of Hazrat Abu Rafi' radiyallahu anhu, and it was repaired instantly, and if nothing had happened to it. The miracles of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam are so many that all of them cannot be listed in one small volume. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's passing away. The most painful and very emotional chapter is going to be started. The Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away, Allahumma salli wa sallim ala nabi, from this world at the age of 63 on Monday at noon on the 12th of Rabiul Awwal, after being unwell for 14 days. He was interred on Wednesday. When his last moments were near, he would dip his hand in his bowl at his bedside and wipe his face with the water in it, and say, "O Allah, aid me in the throes of death." Allahumma salli wa sallim ala nabi. Sayyidina Fatima said, "Oh, the agony of your suffering, my father." Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "There will be no suffering for your father after this day." He was wrapped in a hibara cloak, and it is said it was angels who enveloped him. Some of his companions were so bewildered and that they refused to believe that he passed away. And it is reported about Hazrat Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu anhu, and Sayyidina Uthman became speechless with the shock of Sayyidina Ali, sat down in the utter grief. None was steadfast and judicious on the day except Sayyidina Abu Bakr and Abbas radiyallahu anhum ajma'een. People then hid from the door of the blessed chamber, "Do not give him an ablution. He is the pure and the cleansed one." They heard a second voice which said, "Give him ablution, because the first voice was the devil, and I am Khidr." And he paid his condolences and said, "Allah Ta'ala gives succor from every affliction, and it is He who gives comfort after the passing of the deceased, and the recompense for the being patient during every bereavement. So put your trust in Allah Ta'ala and hope for Him. Verily, afflicted are those who are deprived or reward for the patience. There was a disagreement among companions concerning the ritual ablution. Should it be performed in the clothes he was wearing or without? Allah Ta'ala made them to fall asleep and voice was heard, but nobody knew who is the speaker. Bathed him in his clothes, so the companions bathed him without removing his clothes. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala nabi. Those who undertook the service of ablutions were Hazrat Ali, Hazrat Abbas, and his two sons Fadl and Qathum radiyallahu an. His bondsmen Usama and Shukran radiyallahu an, and he was attended by the Aus ibn Kahli from the Ansar. Sayyiduna Ali wiped his blessed body, but nothing was issued, at which he said, May Allah Ta'ala bless you, immaculate in life and in death. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala nabi. His shroud was made of 3 pieces of white suhuli cloth, which did not include either a stitched shirt or a turban, but only consisted of unstitched wraps. Muslim prayed at his funeral individually. Nobody led the prayer. Shukran descended in the blessed grave and spread a red velvet, which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would use to drape himself. As his blessed body was placed upon it, his blessed tomb was a niche tomb, and 9 bricks were placed to the close of the niche upon it. There was a disagreement whether the tomb of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam should be a niche or a trench. There were 2 grave diggers in the Medina, Hazrat Abu Talha, and niche digger was Hazrat Ubaidah, the trench digger radiyallahu anhum. The companions came to an agreement that whosoever first would dig the grave, the person who came first was the niche digger, and therefore the blessed tomb of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was made in the fashion of a niche. This was in the chamber of Hazrat Sayyidina Aisha alayhi salam. Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiyallahu an and Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu an are also buried along with him in the same chamber. May Allah Ta'ala be pleased with them both. Glory to be Allah Almighty, and Allah Ta'ala knows best. This is the end of the book. By the divine aid of Allah Almighty, the King, the Bestower, Allahumma salli wa sallim ala nabi al-ummi wa alihi. Alhamdulillah, this was a unique book from the light of sight by Hazrat Imam ibn Sayyid Anas radiyallahu an. In the first chapter, let me just review once all the contents. In the first chapter, the first day, Alhamdulillah, we listen the blessed birth of the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and being nurse, and also the growing up of the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then we started the proclamations of the prophethood and the campaign and the sorties and pilgrimage of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then we began with his physical attributes and his names and his lofty characters and his food and drinks. And then we started with his dress and his humor, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's humor, and his noble wives, and then his children and his uncle and aunts, his slaves and bondswomen. And then we started with his servants among freemen and his guards and his emissaries and his scribes and his headsmen. Then we began with his lieutenants and the 10 given glad tidings of the paradise and his animals and his weapons. And then we began with his clothes and the possessions and some of his miracles. And then today we have resumed his miracles and his passing away. And then there are some honorable mentions and some aqidah of Ahl Sunnah al Jama'ah with the references, citations of the authentic hadith and Quran will be cited by tomorrow if Allah gives us a chance. And that would be the clarification of the hadith, all which was presented in this biography. And also we are going to, inshallah, if Allah gives us chance, we will know more about the loving the messenger of Allah and also the visiting the Prophet, why it is necessary to visiting the Prophet and the adab of visiting the Prophet, and what is the intercession on the judgment day, and also can we call Rasulullah by adding Ya Rasulullah in hadith. We are going to inshallah listen and understand, and also we are going to have a glance on the hadith which mention the prophets are alive in their graves. I request Allah Ta'ala to accept this small deed on behalf of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Mawlid, and also help us and bless me and also the all organization of Darul Ilm and whoever helped to upload this one and edit this one. And if it is some mistakes, some errors are done in it, so I request Allah Ta'ala to forgive us on behalf of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, behalf of Ahl Bayt Ridwanullahi Ta'ala wal Ajma'in, and accept our small deeds. And also we request Allah Ta'ala to make us really close and the dear of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Ahl Bayt Ridwanullahi Ta'ala Ajma'in and Ashab Kiram radiyallahu anhum ajma'in. And also I'm requesting Allah Ta'ala, oh Allah, make us to recite every year to finish the biography of the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and also illuminate our lives and our hearts with the love and with the orders of the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the manners and the disciplines of the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in our lives and in our family lives, in our children's life and our offspring, in our friend circles and in our city or nation and in the whole world. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.